Hi, trying again and trying to go live with Bailey Lee for 52 weeks of live. Bailey Lee Interiors. Hi,
Hi,
yay, success.
how are you?
I am great. How are you?
Great. I had a couple of little hiccups, but I'm here.
Oh, no, that's so wonderful. I was just checking my email again to make sure it wasn't like 1:30.
Oh,
And
okay.
now I'm popping you in a goblet.
Hold on.
Okay.
Let me turn up the volume a bit. Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
I am
Love the pink.
so excited to talk to you. First, let me see your nail polish. What was that? Was that blue?
What'd you say? Oh, nail
Your
polish.
nail? Ugh,
Too.
love.
I am blue
Um,
today.
so you're a very artistic woman. You are probably sitting in front of one of your own creations.
Yes, I am. One of my
Yeah.
murals.
So everybody knows that you started off in real estate. Um, but when you were, well, you wrote something very moving about when you were younger, going to people's houses that you thought were beautiful, and it giving you a pang in your heart, wanting that for yourself. Were your parents artistic, or, I mean, was that love shared by anybody in your
I would
family?
I would say my Nana. My Nana
Yeah.
raised me. She loved beautiful fabrics, beautiful textures, beautiful furniture. My only gripe with my Nana is that she got this beautiful red velvet sofa, and I went with her to check it out to buy it. And when it came, it was wrapped in plastic. And I was like, Nana, no, how are we gonna enjoy this? But she loved fine things like beautiful,
Yeah.
luxurious fabrics. She just wanted to preserve it. She didn't want
Yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I fight the good fight with antimacassars. But yeah, hey, at least it was beautiful and you could see through to it.
Yes.
Okay,
I,
so you
I,
you
I
always
dreamt of
had,
laying on it.
yeah, so you always had, that feels like it feels like such a moment in time, such a generation. And it's kind of sweet. Um, so so then how did you end up in real estate?
So I was married at the time. I had young children. My ex-husband, well, he's my ex-husband now, but at the time we were working at the same company doing software sales. And it was really taking a toll on us to be working together all day, then coming home and being a family. It was
Yeah.
a lot. So I decided to to leave corporate America, leave my job. And I became a stay-at-home mom. And I think I lasted in that role for about 2 to 3 months. And I was bored. I was like, no, I have to go do something. So I went and got my real
Well,
estate license.
let's be fair. There is no such thing as a stay-at-home mom. Not really. I
I
mean,
know.
that what it suggests is so not the reality of so many women's lives. It's not, you know, it doesn't capture the spirit of what it actually means.
Right. It was a lot more work just
Yeah.
being at home all the day. But I enjoyed being with my children, but I also just enjoyed being out in the world and experiencing the world of real estate was a beautiful experience for me because I got to go into all these beautiful historical homes in the South Orange Maplewood area. And I just found myself discovering a new passion, a new world that I didn't know I'd be so in love with. Helping people, find their homes. Some people it was first time homes, and then helping people make a home their own. It was just an amazing experience. So I'm glad I went down that route.
My gosh, yes. And I can imagine like what an education. You're finding out all of these, when you're a real estate agent, you have to learn, you know, especially with historic buildings, all of these things, you have to ramp up as fast as possible to learn
Yes.
that vocabulary and all of those elements. Did you have a favorite kind of house from the get-go, or were you just loving it all?
I did. For some reason, I had an affinity towards the Victorian style homes with the big wraparound porches, and
Yeah.
they're just so amazing. Those were my favorites. And then of course, I love just your typical colonial. But South Orange Maplewood has some beautiful structures, some just really beautiful historical structures, and it was nice to see them renovated, but also keeping true to the integrity of the building and the structure.
So, so I know that you started staging them. What was the aha moment there when you realized like I need to provide vision for these buyers?
Yeah, I had this listing. This is how I even first started, staging in the beginning. I had a listing for 1.3 million. It was in the Maplewood South Orange area. And the home, definitely, in order for us to really get the vision in there, we needed to declutter, we needed to have it staged, we needed to do all the stuff to it. I brought in my best friend who just had a great sense of style. She's a fashionista. And I was like, come in, you're gonna help me, you're gonna stage this house. And she was like, what? I don't know what I'm doing. And she came in, they hired her right away. And then when we left there, she said, you're gonna do this with me. I'm not doing this by myself. And then we did it. And at that moment, I realized that I enjoyed that a little bit more than just selling the house.
What
So,
did you guys do in that staging? What was your very first, what was the strategy? What was your approach? Because then I
well,
want to hear how it's changed, obviously.
oh, okay. Yeah, so we basically like I said, decluttered. We
Mhm.
basically brought in fresh paint. We painted. We took away a lot of excess furniture that did not need to be in there to really show off the house. The kitchen was a really good selling point for that home. It was a beautiful, entertaining space, and it had like a patio off from the kitchen with the sliding doors and all that. And it just wasn't showing as well the way that they had it. Once we changed lighting and we brought in, beautiful furniture and took away a lot, that kitchen just became everything. So after that, we got, I think, a few bids on the house before it even went on market. And I said, yeah, because realtors could come in ahead of
Yeah.
time. We had that. And then from there I said, oh, we're onto something here. And then all the realtors in the town started to call us to stage for them.
Wow.
And that just became a full-time thing.
And did you immediately switch over? Did you
I,
immediately say, I'm done with this part of the job and I'm only doing this? Or did it take a minute?
I immediately knew that was what was gonna happen, but of course it took some time to transition because I had quite a few listings and things going
Yeah,
on.
also like I'm sure starting from scratch, a business is no easy feat.
Yeah, for some reason it took off. It was one of those things that you just knew it was meant to be because of how it happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just took off. And then the listings that I did have, they would hire me to stage as well. And then when I found them their new house, they would hire me to decorate.
Like
So
fish barrel.
yeah, it was like, oh, this is perfect. So I knew it was meant to be.
Okay, so I assume for staging versus, I mean, I know for a fact that what you would do for staging, you would do just by how you were describing it is obviously very different from how you design it for your clients. Did they? I mean, it must be so interesting to stage an area one way and then to redo it entirely once somebody's in there.
Yes.
How many of those projects have you done, and where did you start with your clients?
So the staging versus the decorating and designing for the clients just became very special because now I had a muse, versus me just, taking the space and making it look really functional and visual for people to come in and see themselves living there. It was more of creating a ambiance and a blank kind of more of a blank canvas, less in there. And I'm not a designer that likes minimalism.
You're
So
not a minimalist.
no.
Yay!
So when I was able to decorate and design for the new person that was moving into the house, that was where all the fun began because I got to get their personality down. I got to create even hand painted murals within the space, got to bring in a lot of color, got to really understand how they live and how they wanted to be inspired within the space and making a space for them to just feel more brilliant in their day to day. So,
Always painted. The fact that you are now like an acclaimed muralist,
I
how did
know.
that even come about? That's because that's not staging. Nobody's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do a huge, amazing color saturated, gold plated mural. When, who was the first person to receive a Bailey Lee mural?
2018, I had a client that wanted me, he actually wanted marble floors, and it was a small business, and he gave me full creative control, and I believe it was called Graffiti and Vanity. So I got to go a little wild in there and just really do this pink and black and on gold and all this stuff. And he wanted these floors and he couldn't afford them. So I said, I can do some like hand painted abstract floors. I've never done it, but if you want to give me a shot, see how it turns out.
How did you know you could do it? You
I
had
don't
never picked up a paintbrush?
No, I had never
I
picked
mean,
up a
this
brush.
is crazy. It's
What happened,
unbelievable.
I know what happened was when I had opened a store back in 2015, I had a home decor store in Glenridge. The faux artists that would come in and do stuff in there, I watched her, and I was just like, this is amazing. So, but I never tried it myself. I never picked up anything. So I did the floors for him. He loved them. And the next thing you know, I was just out buying paints, and I was buying Modern Masters paints. I was buying Golden Paintworks, like really good quality metallic paints and all that other stuff. And I just started mixing them together. I got up and started painting my whole apartment, all the walls, doing textures, and they were coming out really beautiful. And I'm like, how do I know how to do this? This is so
Do you know how to do that?
I don't know. And then the textures were just very unique. It wasn't anything you've seen before. And it just became a thing where my clients would say, I have to have a Bailey Lee wall. So I started doing the walls in my place. Then I did it for a couple of clients. And I did it one day for a client in Newark. And her space, NBC, Open House NYC, saw me painting on my stories and on my page, and they reached out to me and said, can we come film this place because it looks amazing? And they said, we've never done a place that's not the whole place, because I just did her living room. And they said, but we're going to do it, because that wall is just phenomenal. And once it got to television, that was it. My walls were.
Yeah. It's funny how some people just have a destiny that's just waiting for them. Because actually, it makes me, yeah, it thrills me. It's kind of like you had absolutely no choice. This was going to happen no matter what. It's like all roads led to that. Are you still? I mean, of course, you're still evolving, but like, what is your career now? How would you define everything that you're doing?
You
I know.
know, like,
Small.
I know. I do feel like I'm more of an artist. I sometimes call myself an interior artist. I just did an art exhibition for the Newark Arts Festival this past weekend, which is why I had to reschedule. I know we were like on for next week. I was like, what? So I just did this art festival, and someone came in. She's an amazing artist, well-known, Genesis Tremaine. And she told me, she said, you're a conceptual artist. You are a conceptual artist, Bailey, and you need to embrace that. And so, yeah, I do art installations as well as the walls, as well as the interior design and the decoration. And then I also do furniture design at times. So I know I'm just a creative to the core. Like if we had to really call me something, it's just a
Right.
creative.
You're undefinable. You're everything. Yeah. I mean, I love the idea of sorry, somebody's trying to call me and I'm not answering, obviously. Sometimes I think it's wonderful to have a lot of different pursuits. I, in my career, enjoy doing different things, but one of my pursuits is not being an artist. So I look at you and I think of all of your doing and being an artist, and it kind of blows me away. Percy, I'm speaking of Bailey Lee. You got to be quiet.
Percy, hi, Percy.
Yeah. So I'm kind of in awe of, like, everything is very big what you're doing. It's like, what do you have downtime? Do you take downtime, and what do you do with it?
I absolutely have to. I have to, because if not, I feel burnt out. When I am really like getting a release and a relaxation, it's with my girls. Like I have two best friends. One of them is a clinical psychologist. The other one is a Reiki master, sound healer. And when I tell you our friendship is so valuable to me, the way we support one another, the way we go away and travel together, the way we care about our mental health and our spiritual health and everything, we support each other through that. That is what helps me, like, to really, reignite myself, to take some downtime and then come back fresh.
And you've said you are not a material person, you're a spiritual person. And obviously that spirituality informs what you're doing with, with materials, with matter. It's interesting that you've got that psychologist and Reiki master. Like it kind of makes sense.
Yes.
And then the artist. Yeah, you're like a strange community of powerful ladies. What do your kids think about all this?
So my kids are very proud of me. And I remember when I first left corporate America, my middle child was frightened.
How many do we have?
I have three boys. I have three boys. Two of them are in college now. One lives in China. And it was the middle child.
You're so upset by that. You just threw the phone.
I know. Oh my goodness. I might have to hold this. For some reason, it just collapsed. But my middle child, when I first told him that I was leaving corporate America and opening up my own store in our town, the town that he went to school in, he freaked out. And he was just like, oh my God, please don't do this, Mom. Like, just get a job, keep a job, whatever. And he did not understand the pursuit of entrepreneurship. And I think he was just really frightened for our future.
It's frightening. It's frightening.
Yeah. He said, you're crazy, Mom. Why are you doing this? And we did struggle a bit, in order to get to where we needed to go. But now.
What a great thing to have taught them, to have them witness. Because like everybody goes through it at some point, right?
Yes.
At least once, if not many, many times.
Yes. So I am so proud that I stuck through it and so that they could see that. And now all they talk about is running their own businesses. They can't see it any other way. So I just love that it had that impact on them.
You're also very active in the world of service. You are an advocate for protecting women and girls. And how does this appear in your day-to-day life?
Well, whenever we do arts festivals and things like that, whenever I participate as an artist in these things, like this weekend, we participated in Newark Arts Festival, and the theme was healing arts. So what we provided was a space where people could come in and get free sound bowl healing throughout the day. We also had a tarot reader in there. Women that I talked to you about, we get together and we send out energy and prayer and healing to those that are in need, especially children or women that we feel are suffering in the world. So we're constantly making personal efforts to provide whatever energy and healing that we can to people that are suffering.
Of course, naturally, my daughter broke in right at the beginning of that. But I can connect those dots of where we started, where you ended. When did obviously people in my line of work who are not artists, I mean, we're artists, of course, but, different. Obviously we know the power of design and the result of it, how we feel when we're surrounded by whatever we consider beautiful or balanced or whatever, and how that affects us when we're in a given room. You definitely have gone a step further and you're identifying what those things are. If a person wants to experiencing healing through art, through these things, what should they do? How can they incorporate it in a daily way besides being thoughtful, or is it just thoughtfulness?
Well, it is intention, right? It's knowing what you need for your soul, right?
How do you know that? How do you know that?
Well, you know what? I seem to locate the areas that I am in most need of healing through my chakras, right? And so we know we have what everybody mostly knows is the seven chakras, and there's a color related to each one of those chakras. And so a lot of times you feel something in your heart when it's hurting, when you're feeling confused and overwhelmed, you feel that in your crown chakra. I mean, when you're unable to speak your truth, or you feel like hiding, you'll feel things in your throat chakra. So you have to pay attention to your body. It speaks to you. And then the color that's associated with that, along with sound healing, or like I said, for me, I have blue a lot. You see a lot of blue in my space, and also magenta. I also have a lot of magenta.
But I'm very down with the purples and the magentas and the pinks.
Right. And so for me, this is healing for me because I'm like more focused right now on my eighth chakra, which is the soul star chakra. And I'm constantly communicating with the archangels and, and praying to the ancestors and different things like that. So we can bring these things into our space through the elements such as stones, crystals, through color, through light, and again, also sound. Making sure that you're playing beautiful sounds that uplift you, right? You're listening to things that do that. Those are just subtle ways in which to, and sense, right?
I we all do that whether we're cognizant or not. Like
Exactly.
when we're in a room that just doesn't feel like it's delivering on some level, that could be a part of it.
Exactly. And being cognizant of how you feel when you're in a space, because if you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe there is something in there, right? That's weighty, that doesn't belong in there, that's carrying energy that's not serving you anymore. It could have a lot of past energy in it. You want to make sure that you're aware of how you're feeling in your space so that you can narrow down what's needed in that.
Okay, so here's a question upon that answer. Sound, smell, those things obviously are mutable. So, I can put it in a different candle. I can open a window and have presumably fresh air. Meanwhile, I'm right by a bridge. It's not going to be that fresh, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
But design and definitely artwork and murals, even more because they're on the wall, are immutable. They're there, or there's an element of permanence. You're not going to cover that red sofa every other week. How do you wrangle with that? Do you find and let's say for yourself, because that's the best way for me to ask you about you. Like, do you just say, okay, I need these blues, and then everything else around it changes? I mean, how do you invest your ideas into a room and I don't mean to focus only on interiors, but how do you do it when it's so permanent?
Well, you know what? I don't see it as permanent, to be honest. I can quickly paint over
Right.
or whatever. But I know what phase in my life I might be in. And I remember when I was at the firehouse loft, I didn't have all these colors. If I don't know if you saw some of the pictures from the firehouse loft, I had a lot of just neutral metallic, so like
Yeah.
gold, silver, black, white. That was the phase I was in then, right? And that's how I felt, and that's what I needed my space to be, very neutral, so that I could I could become the color in the canvas within the space. And then here, at this new space, I felt like I needed to really wake up to color that reminded me of peace. Peace, and yes, and also vibrancy, and femininity. So I think it does depend on the phase in the client's life and where they are, right? And I don't think that
Do your
spaces need.
clients get it, or do they think it's crazy? Like, do you ever
No,
have
they
to say, I'm not going to talk to my clients about this, but I'm doing this, but they're not going to, are they on board?
they're on board. They love it. I think that's why they come to me. They come to me because and also this is the part of themselves, the part of their spirit, the part of, the soul, the innate part of them that they don't see themselves. So I'm able to help them bring that out. And so when they're living in a space that has these murals and has these colors and things, I'm choosing this because I'm listening to them and their journey, and I'm taking an intuitive approach to what they need in their lives, and we are agreeing to where they are on that journey, where they want to take it, where they want to be.
Where did this all come from? Were you very, no, I mean, like, were you very thoughtful as a child? Were you religious? Did you read a lot? Like, where's this all coming from? And when did it start?
Yeah, so you know what, when I look at my human design, I don't know if you've heard about human design, but when I look at my human design,
What is human?
oh, so human design is well, it's like a system that uses certain, and I'm gonna have this wrong. It'd probably be better for me to provide this for you. Yeah, but it kind of gives you a blueprint of like how you came into the planet, and what you came here to do.
And who
right?
did you go to get this?
I believe the website is IHDS.
Oh, so it's
International Human Design, Society. So you
Okay.
go on there and you type in your birth date and all the other stuff, and it gives you stuff. So when I got my report back, it made sense because I am a researcher.
How old were you when you wanted it? Because the wanting it already betrays the interest.
Right. Well, I've always been a person that's been reading. So that's what I was going to get to. The research came ever since I was little. Even as a little girl, I was someone that was sitting in my room researching and reading books and understanding more about myself. Because again, I wasn't very happy as a child, right? I didn't have like a great childhood. So I had to find my happiness through the escape that I was able to venture into through books. And my aunt was like a college student at the time. She had these great poetry books and she had great stuff, and I would just grab them off the shelf and I would just go into my own world. So I've always been connected to something outside of myself, understanding that I'm a spiritual being, not just a human being, and what that means. I wanted to know what that means, and because it felt like there was some power that lied there that I wasn't exposed to on the outside of my experience. So I wanted to go in and find it. And once I discovered that,
Know when your birthday is?
my birthday is December 1st. It's coming up soon.
Birthday.
Yes. So it's been a lifelong journey.
Okay, so you got this thing, which I'm so excited to go to the minute I get on the phone with you. You got this thing, it resonated, and then you, like, what point do you integrate this all? Actually, I've been reading so much recently, as I'm sure you have, about this is a slight detour, but about LSD and about mushrooms and psilocybin and all and MDMA and all of those things. None of which I've tried, but I'm so fascinated by, and we've seen all these documentaries. And one thing they talk about these people who are taking this stuff to grow is that the major piece of it is integration after having taken it. Like, you can't just take it and have this explosion of whatever and then walk away changed in a positive way. That you have to have somebody there to integrate your experience. So when do you say to yourself, like Bailey Lee, businesswoman, I am going to take these notions and this philosophy about life and integrate it into my day-to-day business?
Yeah, it's honestly just a part of who I am, right? So I can't even escape it.
It is.
It just is. It just is a part of who I am. It's my day to day. And honestly, it's a part of who everyone is. It's just that some people are tapped into it and some people are not, right? Because if we know that we're spiritual beings here. We know that we're having a human experience, and we're blessed to be here having these human experiences. And we're just like trying to, like you said, balance both, right? Balance being human and spiritual at the same time. And, I feel like most of us have spiritual gifts. All of us have intuition. All of us have the stuff that we are sometimes just disconnected from. but it's there. So this is an everyday thing for me. This is who I am. And I've just gotten comfortable with really expressing it outwardly, you know, to the world. That's all.
Probably why you glow from within. It's like you're beaming.
Thank you.
Okay, art. You are an artist, and now we know you are a conceptual artist, among other arts. And I know you're also a big supporter of artists, of Black artists in particular. Who are your artists in the past that you look to that inspire? Like, do you feed on art of the past to inspire your intuitive art now? Like, are you looking at everything that came before? What's the process when you're painting?
Well, actually, when I'm painting, I don't like to look at other artists.
Mhm.
I really just like to take that deep breath and allow the downloads to come in, because that's what it feels like to me, like I'm getting a download, and then and allow it to go through my hands and create what it may. I love that raw, unobstructed way of just being a creative, right? Just
Like
allow myself to create
your
freely.
through which it's coming.
Yes. Yep. I'm just pulling it in and trusting. You know, in order to do that, you have to be trusting of the process and where you're getting the information from. So
That more of a fan of abstract art? Does abstract art speak to you on a level that more seriously than say figurative?
yeah, I would say so. Absolutely. There are a lot of artists that I do admire, current artists, you know, that I just love right now. Also, Sam Gilliam is someone that I really, you know, just appreciated his artwork and the things that, you know, he put out there. But as again, Genesis Tremaine, Philip Robinson Jr., Saran Green, Bisa Butler. There's just so many amazing, you know, phenomenal Black artists that are out
Where
here.
do you go to, like, are there galleries that you go to specifically? How do you stay connected in the community to see what's what in the art world, in the Black art world?
Because they're my friends. So that's the
So
cruel.
how do you rest? Art is art. Art is
Yes.
very, for people who are not plugged into the art world, how do we find and participate in that community and discover the artists that we're going to be lifelong lovers of or collectors of? Where do we go?
Yeah. So
I'm
you have.
not constantly with all contemporary art. I feel very unprepared. I'm fine with the old guys, but I don't know how to, I could walk in anywhere and see something. I'm like, help, I need direction.
Right. You know, I have to admit, I was like that too before a lot of these artists became friends of mine. And because it was just important to me as a creative to surround myself with other dynamic creatives. So, but you know, the community, you know, like the community that you are in, there's typically usually a museum and they usually have art functions. That's a good way to kind of get your, you know, foot in the door and just see what's happening locally around you, and also to be able to touch artists that are there instead of like, oh my god, this famous artist, I'm just going to check them
Yeah,
out. You feel so separate from that.
that is how I feel. And as a newbie,
Yeah.
big museums for me to go to are these wonderful, and I love them, but they're wonderful monuments to dead artists. Like I'm not as up to date on the gallery scene, and a lot of the people who are in galleries in New York City, you have to assume that they've sort of made it already if they've got a foothold in a New York City gallery.
Right, and that's why I
Or
like
top of
local.
emerging talent and see what's cooking.
Yes, that's why I really love the community stuff, because you really get to touch these artists, talk to them, watch their growth, see how they like progress. And I've seen so many of them go from selling $300 paintings to 100,000 now, and like their career has just expanded because they really stuck to it. And you get to be a part of that process when you go in and get into the community and see who's actually out there creating things. And that's
Jersey. Where are we going in New Jersey if we're looking at this? If we want
so,
to dance.
and that's Newark Museum is an amazing place to start. they also have the North Arts Council. So you can follow them. They're constantly throwing different little events and hosting artists and doing amazing things throughout the city. So for me, that's that. There's also, you know, a lot going on in Brooklyn in the arts and in New York. So you can follow like the Black Artists and Designers Guild as well, you know, to just discover like who is on that roster that's artists and what are they doing and where are they having events and exposés and, you know, and gallery openings and stuff. And just go check it out, you know, and
Yeah.
hang out with the artists, like hang out with them because
Yeah,
they're
obviously a lot more fun.
yeah, go to the opening ceremonies, like when it's really more of a kind of, you know, a opening event where you get to have a little bit of a prosecco and and hang
Do you
talk.
do canvases ever?
So I did do my first canvas and I showed it, premiered it this weekend at Newark Arts Festival, and I got a lot of great feedback. So I'm really excited about that.
What was it? Describe it.
So basically it's my, you know, I do the murals and that's a lot of texture. So now what I've decided to do is use the
and they do look organic. They look like they are a natural material, but it's explosive and, you know, it's like very earthy materials.
yeah. You know what I also incorporated in them now? Fabric. So my
Really?
canvases have fabric, you know, on them, and it really is giving a lot of texture. So a lot of the silks that I work with for upholstering chairs or for drapery for my clients, I'm using those excess materials now and incorporating them into the canvases, along with glass beading, gold leafing, a lot of the materials that I use in the walls. And then allowing the fabric to create an energy and a flow off of the canvas. So it was fun to see people.
Your design work is performance art.
Interesting. Someone else said that this weekend too.
It's just a three-dimensional mural or an interactive mural where you can sit on the fabric that's also on the canvas. That's very appealing.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I feel like you're constantly evolving.
Yes, it does feel that way. It does feel that way. I'm open to always seeing what else I can become and do, because I know we're limitless. You know, we have limitless talent and creativity within us.
I believe that of you, for sure.
You too, Alexa.
I think you're where you need to be philosophically to be limitless. Don't growl. What are the next 10 years going to look like for you, as far as you know, understanding that?
You know, I've been thinking about that a lot this year. I project that you'll see me doing a lot more art installations around the world. More of the murals incorporated into the canvases, more of the interior installations as well. So I feel that's coming. So I feel like I'm really going to expand as an artist in the art world.
Yeah.
You know, my apartment is a studio, but I think I'm gonna end up in a studio. You know, we have the space. We activated this space in Newark for the exhibition this weekend, and the director came right up to us and said, I want you to be able to stay in this space. I'm gonna try to figure this out for you. And I'm like, oh my God, like,
who's us?
The women that I collaborated with to create Chromatica, which is the exhibition this weekend. Erica Hicks, she's a amazing fashion artist. I mean, oh my God, her stuff is phenomenal.
The original staging?
What'd you say?
Is this the woman with whom you did that original staging?
No. Erica is a fashion designer. I collaborated with her in 2018 for the Fem in 3D Arts Festival. So we came back in together. And then a photographer, Ashley Dennis. These are just some beautifully talented women. And so we came together to create Chromatica. And they are like, we want you to stay here somehow. We have to create
space, or as a place where you would create?
Actually, I think it would be both.
Okay, because you need
I need a studio where I could just throw paint around and not care. I do. That's coming.
Gosh. Um, so that's going to have to be a whole different business. And we're not going to find that on Bailey Lee Interiors, because that will be, your art,
Right.
whatever that noun is, strong. Um, and that's acrylics, it's fabrics, it's collage,
Gold.
it's gold leaf. Yes, you're famous for your gold leaf addiction. What
Yes.
media do you like?
Um, I would say I'm starting, like the textiles are starting to speak to me a little bit more now, incorporating them within all the paints and the other stuff that I have going on. So I'm really just getting started with that. So I'm enjoying that. Yeah. And I was afraid to go on canvas for a long time, very afraid of, intimidated by the canvas.
You
I'm
know,
like, I want
you're
gigantic
tackling walls and you're intimidated by a small canvas. How big was the canvas, by the way, that you showed?
48 by 48. It felt really small and restricting to me, but I was able to
Really
make it
tiny.
happen.
Uh,
Yes.
so, okay, then I wanted to ask you another thing. You said you see this, around the world. What's travel life like?
Yeah, a long time ago when Whoopi Goldberg bought my first paintings back in 2018, she said, this has to be around the world. You have to take your work around the world. So I'm just emphasizing that because she gave me that command. Yeah, she gave me that command. Right now, I've been traveling just for research and for fun, for pleasure.
Where?
Um, I go to Tulum, Mexico is one of my favorite places to go. There's just something about Mexico that just speaks to my soul. And I love the Azalik. It's a hotel there, but they have a museum, and just the architecture is just phenomenal. It really inspires me every time I'm there. So that's one of my favorite places to go. Puerto Rico is another amazing place that I enjoy. My family is from Puerto Rico, and I just went the first time last year.
I, I believe I'm going this weekend.
Really?
Yeah, that's
Nice.
the
Okay.
at least for one night for my anniversary.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Have fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to venture out to so many other places. I want to go to Costa Rica. I want to go to Guatemala. I mean, there's just so much out there that I'm seeing that I feel really inspired to go.
Yeah, I feel like you're hungry, like you're just eating inspiration. And um, thank you so much for doing this with me. You are obviously so much more than just a designer. You're a designer. You design everything. You're designing fabrics now, right?
Yes, I'm going to be doing my own wallpaper line. So
And with whom?
this is with York Brewster and York Wall Coverings. They kind of combined now. So yes, I'm working with them to create my own line. So that should be coming out soon, probably in the
Obviously
first quarter of next year.
out immediately, because I feel if you were doing an installation and you had the walls, you need the floor, and you need the entire box. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, you do.
Yes.
So York, well, I didn't know York and Brewster were a thing now. So York and Brewster, and what else? Where else can we find little pieces of Bailey Lee? Just
Hope,
follow you and check your website to see when.
yeah, yep, just by my Instagram page. I'll be announcing any new places that I'm going to be exhibiting or anything else that I'm coming out with. So just stay tuned there.
And you've
And
got one more child in.
what'd you say?
You have one more child in.
Oh, he just graduated, so he's in college now. Yes.
So you're empty nest.
Yeah,
So
I
what?
am. That's the travel, the art, everything. No limit, baby. No limit. I
I
get to just
I
enjoy life.
feel it looming in the next 5 years. I will, I feel it. feel like I'm looking down the barrel of a gun. Uh, you're just going to take off.
Thank you. From your lips to
Oh, I
God's
mean,
ears.
have taken off, but I mean, what? So, what is your son doing in China?
So
Study?
this is so funny. My son moved out there to teach English to intermediate students, and then he started competing. He's always been like very cerebral, but he started competing, and now he
Sorry, he's always
just
been very
won.
what?
He's always been very cerebral, intellectual, very smart, and less physical. But he started competing in physical contests now. He just won the strongest man in China. He competed in isn't that crazy? I love
So
that.
is this weightlifting?
Lifting. He won. He took the lead. So he won. And I'm just like, what in the world? This is crazy. So he goes all the way out to China to teach and ends up becoming the strongest man in China.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Are you going to go visit him? Have you gone to visit him?
Yeah, it's been difficult because of COVID, and now they still have some crazy stuff going on there where if you go, you still have to kind of stay secluded for like 21 days and all this. It's still crazy.
He's been back to see you since he went?
Yes, he has. Yes. Yep. So I hope to see him soon, very soon. And if he competes, if he now, because he won in China, he has the opportunity to compete in Florida, I believe.
Strongest man in China and parts of Florida.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see a T-shirt in his future.
Yeah, it's so wild. It's so wild that my son is like the strongest man. It's so funny.
And what are the other two doing?
So my middle child is at Clemson University. He's a business major. And then my youngest is majoring in fine arts and photography at King.
That is fantastic.
Thank you. Yes. So.
It is wonderful to speak to you because you are just a ray of light. It is coming out of you, and it makes me very, you know.
Aw, thanks, Alexa. This was so much fun. Thanks for inviting me on.
I can't wait to check out the museum. And said it was the North Museum?
The Newark.
The
Newark.
Newark. Got it.
Yes.
Newark. The Newark Museum, and to follow you and to see your burgeoning career as an artist, because your other career as an artist is already well documented.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hope I see you soon.
I know. I hope we meet in person. That would be great.
I think it's a plan.
Okay. All right. Take care. Bye.